I was shocked myself for a second. Hey, thank you so much for coming here for this theater session. My name is Anand Sundaram, and I work in Azure. And I'm going to be joined by a colleague, Raj, to talk to you about two things. So we're going to cover our tools to help you move your databases to Azure and your data. And we're going to talk about some programs that can help you move successfully, faster, lower your cost, lower your risks, and so on. So let's get started. So hopefully you folks have seen this rainbow slide. I'm not going to talk about all of them, but there are two sections in this slide. On the left is what we believe are time-bound, compelling triggers that a lot of you might run into while you're making decisions on making the move to Azure, right? Do they sound familiar, a bunch of them, right? Hardware refresh, data center leases expiring, immediate need for capacity, I acquired a company and I need to integrate their infrastructure into my IT environments, right? These are all very typical. So those are one set of triggers that we see customers making the move to Azure around. And then on the right, well, there are a couple of them in the middle around security and compliance. We nowadays hear that we in Azure apparently are doing a better job in terms of locking down the perimeter and making sure that your applications and services are secure compared to even on-premises environments. Azure is also super compliant, be it Hipaa, SOX, ISO, you name it, right? That's another trigger, a positive trigger that a lot of you are looking to Azure for. And then finally, application innovation is another common one where a lot of you are saying, gosh, I've got a bunch of different database silos on premises. I want to consolidate them in a unified environment in Azure and run analytics and reporting on top, right? So that's another common scenario. And then finally, the strip at the bottom, right? How many of you guys are already facing end of support as a challenge for Windows and SQL? Yeah? Many of you? Yes, even we have some internally. So yeah, these are all typical challenges and triggers. I will say two things. In terms of some of the infrastructure-oriented triggers like data center expiry and all of that, you guys are in the driver's seat as IT to drive the migration process. If there is an application-oriented trigger where your business and you need to work together, you need to build the plan with them. But a lot of these things, you guys own the plan in terms of driving your infrastructure and data migrations, right? So just know that you're in the driver's seat in a lot of scenarios. Now, what we say in terms of tooling is the one place to start in the Azure portal is the Azure Migrate Service. It's the single unified hub for any of your migration scenarios, be it servers or VMs, be it databases, be it virtual desktops, be it web apps, right? Just one single place. And Raj will show you more about it. What does Azure Migrate comprise of? There are 4 pieces to it. The first piece is, I spoke about the breadth of scenarios, right? I've got to migrate a server, a virtual server, or a physical server, check. I've got a piece of desktop infrastructure, check. I've got databases like SQL or non-SQL, check. I've got a bunch of .NET apps, check, right? All scenarios are supported, one single place. It's an integrated experience, so it's not like you need to connect the dots, right? You start from discovery and assessment in one place. You can do actual migration, and then post-migration, you can keep monitoring for cost management and ongoing optimization as well, all through Azure Migrate, right? It's a guided experience. The output of your assessments can be transferred automatically to the migration process and replication. So we do all of that integration. You don't need to have different tabs on a browser or use different tools, right? So it's a guided end-to-end experience. You've got extensibility with ISVs. We've got REST-based APIs that we integrate with a variety of different ISVs you might be working with, right? Cloudamize, Mover, Turbonomic, Unify Cloud. We are working with other companies as well, like Attunity and so on. All of those folks who build software and IP around migration, we are natively integrating into the Azure Migrate experience, right? How many of you use some of those ISV tools that I mentioned? Yeah? OK, so you don't need to go to another place. It's just all Azure Migrate. It's all natively integrated. And then the last thing is, because of all of this, the guided experience, integration with ISVs, you can track in one single place all the workloads that you're assessing, the status of all the workloads that you're migrating. You don't need to go to 10 different places and piece together a report for your management. For example, it's just one place. You can just share the status of everything that's going on with your migration plan and execution. Okay? That sounds interesting. So with that, I'm going to have Raj speak more about this database or the SQL modernization options you have and actually go through a demo of how these things work.
Thank you, Anand. Can you guys hear me? Yes, let me introduce myself. My name is Raj Pochiraju, the Principal Engineering Architect in the Azure Data Engineering. My core focus is to build the migration tools that help you to do the assessments and as well as to do the near zero downtime migrations to Azure Database platforms. So what I'm going to be doing is, Anand talked about various migration triggers, and one of them is expiry of licenses, right? Or expiry of support. And as you know, SQL Server 2008 and SQL Server 2008 R2 ran out of the extended support, but that's not the end of the life. So what we have seen with our customers is that they're really using that opportunity to really modernize their entire data estate. And Microsoft also has got so many options that are available for you to help you out to really deal with that kind of a situation so that you can really choose the specific option that is really good fit for you. So if you look at this slide, there are a couple of options here. One is to modernize, and the other one is modernize to Azure. The other one is modernize to on-prem. When it comes to modernize to Azure, you can really migrate your databases to SQL Platform as a Service, where you can really get the built-in disaster recovery, high availability, auto-tuning, auto-security, all these features that you can get so that you don't have to manage anymore. And when it comes to Azure, we have three options: SQL database, single databases, elastic pools, SQL database managed instance, which all these will come into the Platform as a Service. But if your workload doesn't fit for Platform as a Service, you can still migrate to SQL servers which are running on the VM. Right, so that you can migrate and as well as upgrade. Or if you don't want to upgrade, you still want to stay on 2008 and R2, maybe you're using some kind of a legacy application, then you can still migrate to a SQL VM, but you can still keep your environment in 2008 and R2 itself. That way you will get at least 3 years of extended warranty for free. So those are the options that are available when it comes to modernize to Azure. And when it comes to modernize to on-premises, you can literally upgrade your existing on-premises environment to latest SQL Server versions like SQL 2017, 2019, right? So that's another option if you still want to choose to be on-prem. In the worst case scenario, what you could do is you can stay as it is, you can stay on-prem, you can be on 2008 and R2, but you can also buy an extended warranty from us. So those are the various options that are available to you that really help you to make the right option that is really good fit for you. So when it comes to modernizing to Azure, we have specific set of tools and services that really help you to make sure that how ready your environment is to modernize. Is these databases that you're running or the workloads that you're running, how much effort that is really required to modernize to them. To really understand that aspect across your data estate, we have tools and services that really help you to do that. So given the time that we have, only limited time, I'm only going to demo a assessment piece. That means you have your data estate, and then you really want to assess your environment to really find out how ready these databases are migrating to Azure, so that you can really decide whether you want to migrate to Azure, Platform as a Service, or VMs, that kind of stuff, right? For that tool, I'm going to switch my monitor to 8. So we have a tool called Database Migration Assistant tool, which is a freely downloadable tool. We released recently 5.0 version. You can just simply download a desktop tool, install on your on-premises environment itself, and you connect to your on-premises SQL servers. This tool will scan across your databases and find out if there are any migration blockers that you need to work on to migrate to Azure, or are there any objects which might be using some kind of a legacy syntax that might not work anymore. We call them as a breaking changes. Not only that we pinpoint the specific issues, but we also provide you a comprehensive recommendation how to fix them, right? How to mitigate them. Not only that we scan across your databases, but we also scan your application data layer as well. I know a lot of legacy applications, they have queries directly coming from application layer itself. Either it could be Java, C#. The queries comes from the app itself. So we have an ability that you can go and then scan across those application layers as well. And not only that, we also tell you, what is the good fit when you migrate to the Azure, whether it is the workload is good fit for SQL VM or SQL Pass. And we also tell you the specific size, the tier and SKU that we think that you should start with when you migrate, so that you don't really run into any performance issues after migrating, right? That kind of a comprehensive analysis is available through the DMA. So for the sake of for the interest of the time, I'm actually showing an interface where I know the screen is not that clear, but the concept here is that when you do the assessment using the DMA, it will tell you exactly what are the migration blockers. In this case, the migration blocker to Pass is a file stream. File stream is not supported on the SQL Pass yet. So then you can decide whether you want to refactor your databases or re-architect your database to make it work for Pass, or you just want to migrate to SQL VM at this point where this feature is fully supported there, right? We also have a list of, so some of these databases are telling you that these databases are ready to go to Pass with no issues at all. And if you look at the other databases like HR, the HR database has the 3 different type of breaking changes. That means they're not the migration blockers. You can migrate it, but when the application uses that functionality, it might break, because some of the stored procedures in this case using some legacy syntax, non-ANSI joins, and that non-ANSI join is not supported anymore. We'll tell you what that stored procedure is, and we also tell you the line number so that you can exactly pinpoint where the problem is coming from. And we also provide a recommendation to you how to fix that by means of the examples. That way you can really decide which database is ready to go to Pass or which database is ready to go to VM, right? This is great. If I have a single SQL Server instance, I can do all this kind of analysis. I can really run this and then look at each database to see how ready it is to Pass versus SQL VM. But I have an environment where I have 100 SQL servers actually. And I really want to know how many of these SQL servers are ready to go to Pass versus ready to go to VM at a data estate level, right? For that, what we did is, like Anand mentioned, we integrated the DMA into Azure Migrate Hub, where you can upload those results to Azure Migrate Hub, then we will consolidate those results to you. So to show you quickly, the way that you upload for each of these assessments is by using this Upload Azure Migrate button. It will prompt you to give you the subscription and migrate project where you can really upload. And you can run these assessments independently on each of these servers, but you can upload to the single project so that we'll consolidate the result. The way it works, the way it appears on the cloud is, I quickly need to switch to the other window. So I'm going to showcase. So this is the, let me move this to here. Yep. So it is. So as Anand mentioned, this is a unified. It provides a unified experience where you can track your migrations across your servers, databases, and as well as the applications too. So when you get there, look at the databases window here. So we uploaded all those databases to here, and it is telling you at the entire data estate level how ready those SQL servers goes to the Pass. So you see here, out of the 102 instances, we got 1,000 plus databases or 800 plus databases. Out of that, 400 plus databases are ready to go to Pass, but rest of the databases are ready to go to VM. And you can further expand this as well to look at the individual instances here to find out what is the instance readiness as well. And it will, for each of the instance, it will give you the relative readiness as well, how ready this particular instance entire. You can do a lift and shift to Pass versus VM, right? If you really want to understand why this particular instance is only 50% ready, not 100% ready, you can further double click on that. Then it will tell you, for example, so I can click on this instance. It will tell you which of those databases are ready to go to SQL DB, which of those databases are ready to go to VM. Because some databases are not ready to go to SQL Pass, SQL DB, that's the reason your percentage is 50%. Otherwise, you would have seen 100% there. So that way, you can really scan across your data estate and find out the relative readiness of these databases migrating to Pass versus VM, so that you can pick up the low-hanging fruits that are easy to migrate to Pass as a first attempt, so that you can really learn migrations and then move on to the complex migrations. So this is the view, and I'm having a deep dive session that I'm also going into the migration experience tomorrow at 1:30 p.m. So hope that I will see you there. With that, I'm going to pass it to Anand back. Thank you.
Great. Thank you, Raj. Really appreciate the overview.
Go back to your slide. Okay.
Yep. Oh, wait. Sorry. Is this the one?
I'll give.
Yeah. This is a different deck.
Different deck?
Go back for a second. I think we, yeah. One moment. Yeah, that's okay. All right.
All right. Sorry about the technical difficulties here.
Yep, no problem. We were just switching over. So then you saw the tools and what's possible with that unified experience, right, with Azure Migrate, and how do you scan and assess your database estate and figure out how to make the move to IaaS or PaaS options with SQL modernization. Now the next question in your mind is, I get that, but I still need help. So I'm going to raise my hand, and I'm going to expect that Microsoft is going to handhold me, right? So we've got this program called the Azure Migration Program, which is, again, your way to reach out to Microsoft and help ease your move to Azure, right? So our goal with this program is twofold. One is accelerate or reduce the amount of time it takes you to get your data and infrastructure and apps to Azure. And then number two is reduce your risk, honestly, right? So we want to show you how good migration looks like, and we want to help you along with our partners. So we do 4 things in this program. Number 1 is we help you get ready to make the move. Number 2 is we train you. We train your organization, including your DBAs, your application people, your IT people, so you are fully ready on Azure and you understand Azure. The third thing we do is help you plan your migration. Put together a migration plan with timelines, right, with workload batches that are sequenced. And then the fourth thing is we just actually help you do the move as well with working with our partners and working hand in hand, side by side with you. So those are the 4 things we do, and we actually have Azure engineers work directly with you beyond our partners. So people like Raj and his team, in many cases, they might get on the phone with you. Yep. So the first thing, like I said, is help you get ready. So these are the 9 things, right? As you, maybe many of you are in the process of planning, yeah? Many of you are planning your migration. So these are the 9 dimensions and how to think about planning, right? Download this paper, download the tool. You'll get a spider chart of how your readiness looks like relative to these 9 dimensions, right? These are related to strategy and planning. There is some work on skilling and partners. Some work on actually making sure that you've got the right helipad, right, where all of your data workloads will land on Azure. You need a nice covered zone, which is compliant with your IT standards, right? So think of it that way. These are the 9 dimensions to get ready. Next, we actually, as part of the Azure Migration Program, we actually come to your site and train you if you're eligible relative to your migration data estate. So what we do there is there are 3 types of things that we work and train you on. Number 1 is we level set you and your organization on Azure, right? There are foundational or fundamental things that all of us need to understand about Azure. We teach you how to migrate your data or infrastructure workloads depending on your scenario. Next, we actually look at your teams, be it IT teams or database admins or architects or application owners, and we have role-specific training, right? So you can pick and choose among these courses as part of the Azure Migration Program depending on what suits your organization. We help you build that helipad or landing zone that I was mentioning. If you look at all of these things, right, a lot of customers tell us that I can migrate 10 or 20 workloads without the need for a beautiful helipad or a landing zone. But the more and more, as you want to migrate all of your workloads, be it infrastructure or data, you really need to solve for these fundamental capabilities, right? Do I have the right connectivity from my data center to Azure? We look at options like Azure Express Route. Do I have the right identity infrastructure so that I don't break single sign-on experiences from my application owners or rollback access control? Do I have the right monitoring capabilities for my databases and infrastructure, right? I might have fine-tuned my SQL management packs on premises using Operations Manager. Do I carry that over, or do I use native Azure capabilities, right? So we help you and guide you on that. Security, right? Azure SQL Database comes in with built-in security and vulnerability assessments for all the databases that you're moving. We help work with you to deploy those capabilities. And finally, governance, which is what are the guardrails around my Azure environment that I need to have in place. be it things like, what are the policies that I should enforce on behalf of my application owners so that they don't go rogue relative to my SKUs, relative to my patching policies, and all of that stuff, right? So that's governance. So we work with you on a variety of these capabilities using the Azure features at the bottom here, right? So that's part of Azure Migration Program as well. We believe that these are very important to ensure long-term success and success at scale migrations. Then, once you've once you're ready, once you've been trained, once you've built out your landing zone, the next step is to actually build out your plan and take your data estate and break it down into batches and walk all of those through the assessment process that Raj described, have them migrate, make sure that you're optimized and secured and managed so your Azure bill looks like it's within your budget, right? So we do all of that work after putting together an end-to-end migration plan. Again, remember, this is all between you, us, which is Azure engineers, and our Azure expert partners. So I'm going to just encourage all of you to go to azure.com/amp if you want to raise your hand and ask for help. You're also, of course, welcome to use the tools that Raj showed on your own if you want to get started. We are not going to stop you from that. But then as your ambition around migration increases, as you get more and more databases to Azure, we really believe that you could benefit by applying to AMP. And like Raj said, we've got a deep dive session tomorrow morning. Hopefully, you all will be still awake after going to the Universal Studios tonight. But we look forward to seeing you tomorrow morning at Raj's session to dive deeper into this.
Thank you, guys.
Great. Thank you so much. We welcome any questions you might have at this point. We are going to be around for a few minutes now.